So it's always good for investment and for efficiency that a company is run like a company. And the people who are there, even though they're appointed by political authorities, feel secured in their job. And they're appointed on clear criteria of competence and the vision that they will drive. And they are very sure that as long as they're driving that mandate, they will not be bumped off, because of political change in political landscape. So it's an issue around so-called urbanization. So basically that even though it's from North Central, the new chief executive is from the south, from the Yoruba ethnic group. And so people read into it also that geopolitical concern. Well, first, I think historically, first, the legality is there. The president has the powers, Section 5 of the Constitution, to reorganize the federal executives, the bureaucracy, including the parastatals. NNPCL is the major earner for Nigeria, so a strategic place. The point is this, over the years, we've seen that some of the appointments have raised concern. First is issue of geopolitics. People from the Nile Delta area, particularly oil-producing communities in the South, kind of feel that, with the fact that they're the golden geese that lays the golden egg, or the geese that lays the golden egg, they ought to perhaps be always at the top chief executive. So that's one issue. The other issue we've heard about is the issue around so-called urbanization. So basically that even though it's from North Central, the new chief executive is from the south, from the Yoruba ethnic group. And so people read into it also that geopolitical concern. But at the level of competence, there's no doubt that the new chief executive is as competent as Mele Kyari was as well, in experience in the sector, worked in Shell to a level of top executive, started his own business in the same line. And so, yes, this is a competent board. Austin Avuru is also a very competent guy. But three issues come up. First is we have a president who is a minister for petroleum, always. So it creates a little bit of problem around accountability. We know that the president is the chief executive of the country and is responsible for everything. But at a sectoral level, we would like to say, okay, this is the Minister of Petroleum, not Minister of State, so that you have a sense that the presidential directives is executed at the highest level by this minister. And so that's a problem. And many people don't even look at Heineken Bogobiri as the guy to hold responsible, because he's a Minister of State and oftentimes he may be just shadow, something that's somebody behind the scene is actually responsible. So if you had a Minister of Petroleum who is not the president, then we can hold him responsible as a person who made a recommendation. The second issue is around not just how much are we going to look at ethnic balancing vis-a-vis competence and merit in staffing federal agencies. So we have House of Assembly, House of Reps, senators who are elected on constituency basis. We have the governors, we have the president who has to satisfy electoral mandate across the country. Should we also detail down to institutions that level of ethnic geopolitical balancing? So people are also arguing that with the way the world economy is shaping up, maybe at some point we would not look at the geopolitics as much as we look at the vision, the competence, and how the board is run. And the third point I think is that NNPC is supposed to enter into public quoted company. So far, the PIA has not, they have not, kind of moved the PIA fast enough. We are still stuck with NNPC that the president appoints his board like as if it's not a company. This is supposed to be a company that shareholders, boards. So the problem is that lack of transparency, and we're not defined whether this is a public quoted company, is it a government parastatal, or is it a company? And so I think that lack of clarity affects accountability, who is really in charge, and how is the NNPCL managed? What's the relationship between the NNPCL and the regulatory agencies in the offshore and onshore, regulatory commission authority? So these are some of the issues that the appointment itself has not addressed. So we're going to perhaps get tangled on the geopolitics, whether South-South, whether North-Central, whether a Yoruba man has come into power. But beyond this is really, over the years, yes, we've seen an uptick in oil production, which is okay, maybe due to dealing with some of the Nile Delta crisis. But again, we're not seeing efficient operations like we see with Petrobras or with other, even public and private owned entities. I want to have clarity really on what regime of ownership and of business management and corporate governance that the Nigerian oil and gas sector is in right now.
Tell us what you think regarding how we should expect things to change in the next few months. Talking about the leadership change, the NNPC is so ambitious. They are talking about rejigging the amount of oil that they produce daily. For example, from like below 2 million to 2 million between now and 2027, and to like 3 million barrels per day around 2030. Is this feasible with the new leadership that we have?